Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something real. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, what the hell am I even doing with my life? Like you're just floating, going through the motions.
Existing instead of actually living.
Yeah, me too. We all have, and guess what? That's not weakness. That's a signal, a sign that something inside you is screaming for more direction, more meaning, more fire. This isn't some Instagram quote or a self-help cliche. This is about taking your life back from the noise, from the distractions, from the bullshit stories you've been telling yourself. This is about waking the hell up and finding your purpose. Because once you have that, once you truly lock in on your why, you become unstoppable. So tonight, we're going to talk about how to stop feeling lost and start living like your life actually means something. Because it does, and it starts right now. Silence the noise to hear your inner voice. That's not just a catchy phrase. It's a truth that hits hard once you realize how much of your life is dictated by things that don't actually come from you. We live in a time where you're being blasted with opinions, advice, expectations, likes, comments, algorithms, podcasts, ads, messages, updates, all of it. It's nonstop. And the scary part is, most of us don't even notice how deep it's sunk into our decision making. You wake up and the first thing you do is check your phone. You scroll, you compare, you absorb. Before your feet even hit the ground, you've already been told 100 things about who you should be, what you should look like, what you should want, and what you should fear. That noise, that chaos, it drowns out the one thing that actually matters, your own internal voice. That quiet whisper inside that knows what you really want, what drives you, what makes you feel alive. But that voice doesn't shout, it doesn't compete, it waits. And if you don't create space for it, you'll never hear it clearly. Silencing the noise doesn't mean escaping life. It means taking conscious control over what you allow into your headspace. It means realizing that not every thought that enters your mind is yours. That not every opinion you hear deserves space in your life. You've got to get intentional. You've got to build boundaries around your energy. That means unplugging more often. That means not reacting to every damn notification. That means taking breaks from the echo chambers, the fake perfection, and the manufactured outrage, because none of that is helping you find direction. It's just keeping you distracted. Here's the truth: most people don't feel lost because they have no purpose. They feel lost because they've been so disconnected from themselves for so long that they've forgotten how to even recognize it. It's like static on a radio. Your signal is there, but the frequency is jammed up. You've got to clear the channel, and that takes effort. It takes intention. You might have to get uncomfortable. You might have to sit in silence without reaching for your phone. You might have to spend time alone, journal your thoughts, go for walks without earbuds, shut off the external input, and really sit with yourself. That's not easy, but it's essential. When you start doing that, something shifts. You begin to notice what excites you. You realize the things you've been tolerating that you no longer want to carry. You start to hear your inner voice go, "Hey, this isn't it. This job, this relationship, this version of you, it's not working." And once you hear that voice, you can't unhear it. That's where direction starts to build. Not from someone handing you a roadmap, but from you finally listening to the GPS that's been built into you since day one. The craziest part, you already know so many of the answers you've been seeking, but they're buried under layers of noise. What your parents expected, what your friends think is cool, what society told you success should look like. You've got to strip that away. You've got to get real. You've got to decide that your life is worth more than just blending in, following trends, or checking boxes that don't belong to you. Silencing the noise is a practice. It's a habit. It's a form of self-respect. You're saying, I trust myself enough to listen. And in a world that's constantly shouting over you, that's a revolutionary act. Discomfort is the compass. Follow it. That's the mindset shift most people never make. We're wired to avoid pain, to seek ease, to chase comfort like it's some kind of prize. But the truth is, comfort zones are just cages made of soft walls. They feel safe, sure, but they also slowly kill growth. If you're feeling lost or stuck in life, chances are you've been running from discomfort instead of leaning into it. And that's where everything starts to shift, when you stop seeing discomfort as a threat and start recognizing it as a signal. Think about it, every major growth moment in your life came with tension. The first time you spoke up for yourself, the first time you quit something that wasn't serving you, the first time you tried something new and felt like an imposter. It was all uncomfortable. But that discomfort was the doorway. It was the proof that you were stretching. And stretching hurts physically, mentally, emotionally. But that pain is progress. That's the compass saying, yes, this is the direction. Keep going. We live in a society that worships comfort. Fast food, instant gratification, convenience, everything. Everything's built around making life easier, faster, smoother. But easy doesn't equal meaningful. In fact, the easiest paths usually lead to the emptiest destinations. You don't build confidence by avoiding challenge. You don't build purpose by numbing yourself with entertainment, food, or distraction. You build it by doing the thing that scares you, the thing that tests you, the thing that wakes something up inside you. People talk about finding passion or purpose like it's this magical clarity that just arrives one day, but it's not. Purpose is forged through fire. You've got to throw yourself into situations that make your heart race and your hands sweat. You've got to chase the things that make you nervous, because that nervousness is a clue. It means you care. It means there's something there worth exploring. But most people miss that because they run back to what's familiar the second it gets tough. Following discomfort doesn't mean being reckless or putting yourself in danger. It means choosing growth over stagnation. It means recognizing that the anxiety you feel before you step on stage, before you ask for that opportunity, before you walk away from something toxic, that's not a stop sign. That's your body preparing you to level up. That's the system saying, this matters. But if you numb it, ignore it, or back down, you rob yourself of the transformation that was waiting on the other side. And the wild part is, the more you follow discomfort, the more it changes you. You start seeing fear as fuel. You stop waiting for permission. You realize that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. And every time you do that, your threshold expands. What used to paralyze you becomes manageable. What used to scare you becomes a warm-up. You evolve, but only if you're willing to walk toward the hard things. Discomfort forces you to meet yourself. It strips away the fake layers and shows you who you are when things aren't easy. That's where resilience lives. That's where clarity is born. You find out what you're made of, not in moments of ease, but in the grind, in the doubt, in the uncomfortable silence between where you are and where you want to be. Most people don't live with purpose because they avoid the work it takes to uncover it. And that work, it lives in discomfort. It lives in the hard conversations, in the long nights, in the moments where quitting would be easier, but something in you says, no, keep going. Discomfort doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're on the path. It's the sign you're building something real, something that matters, something that's uniquely yours. Discipline beats motivation every damn time. That's not just a quote, it's a principle, a way of life that separates the people who talk about change from the people who actually make it happen. Motivation is great, sure, it feels good. It's that rush you get when you watch an inspiring video, read a powerful quote, or have a breakthrough conversation. It lights you up. But the thing about motivation is, it's unpredictable. It's temporary, it comes and goes like a breeze. And if you're depending on it to build the life you want, you're going to be waiting around a lot more than you're moving forward. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up when you don't want to. It drags you out of bed when it's cold, when you're tired, when your mind is full of excuses. It doesn't need hype or adrenaline. It needs one thing, a decision. Discipline is the agreement you make with yourself that says, no matter what's going on, I'm going to show up. And showing up is 90% of what separates winners from wishers. Most people think they lack motivation, but what they really lack is structure. They wait to feel ready, to feel excited, to feel confident. But the truth is, those feelings are unreliable. And if you want to do something consistently, whether it's building a business, getting in shape, finding your purpose, you can't leave it up to feelings. You need a system, a habit, a non-negotiable ritual that you stick to whether you feel like it or not. Look at athletes, look at Navy SEALs, look at successful creators or entrepreneurs. They all have this one thing in common. They don't rely on moods, they rely on routines. They train themselves to operate regardless of the emotional weather. That's what discipline gives you. It removes the question of, should I, and replaces it with, this is what I do. You stop overthinking. You stop negotiating with yourself. You just act. That consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds results. The reason discipline is so powerful is because it builds trust, not with other people, though that's a bonus, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, even when it's inconvenient, you tell yourself, I'm someone who follows through. That's where real confidence comes from, not from talking yourself up, but from watching yourself deliver, day in and day out. even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. Now don't get it twisted. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never miss a beat or never have setbacks. It means you don't let those moments derail you. You get back on track faster. You shorten the gap between falling off and getting up. That resilience, that bounce back muscle, that's trained through discipline. Because when motivation disappears, and it will, you need something stronger to carry you through. Discipline also sharpens your identity. It reminds you of who you're trying to become. Every time you choose the hard option, the workout, the early wake up, the uncomfortable conversation, you cast a vote for that future version of you. And over time, that version starts to show up more often. You stop waiting to feel like that person and you start acting like them. That's when transformation becomes real. It's not a lightning strike, it's a slow burn, and discipline is the fuel. There's a kind of quiet pride that comes from being disciplined. It's not loud or flashy. It doesn't need validation. It's internal. It's solid. It's you looking in the mirror and knowing you kept your word to yourself. And that's a level of power that no one can give you and no one can take away. Stop chasing purpose. Start creating it. That's the shift that changes everything. Too many people spend their lives waiting for some lightning bolt moment, some divine download that tells them exactly what they were born to do. They sit around analyzing, overthinking, hoping that clarity will show up one day and change their direction. But purpose doesn't come to the passive. It reveals itself through action, through doing, through trying things, failing, adjusting, and going again. It's not something you find sitting still. It's something you build by moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. The purpose is this one perfect thing, a magical calling that once discovered will make everything make sense. That's a myth, a paralyzing myth, because it makes people believe they're broken if they haven't found yet. It makes them afraid to move in any direction, worried they'll choose the wrong one. But purpose isn't fixed. It evolves. It grows as you grow. What matters is that you start, that you pick something, anything, and give it your full attention, that you show up, give effort, and stay curious about what lights you up and what doesn't. Creating purpose means taking ownership. It means understanding that you have more control than you think. You're not just some passenger on this ride. You're the driver, and every decision you make, every risk you take, every challenge you face, it all contributes to the bigger picture of who you're becoming. You don't wait to feel inspired. You create a life that inspires you by showing up and doing meaningful work, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one's watching. There's power in choosing. Most people are afraid to choose because choosing one thing means saying no to others. But indecision is just fear in disguise. You can't discover what matters to you if you never commit to anything. Pick a path. Get your hands dirty. Learn from the experience. Let it teach you something about yourself. Purpose lives in the doing, not the dreaming. You get clarity through motion, not through thinking about motion. Creating purpose also means being willing to suck at something new, to look stupid, to start small. Everyone wants to skip to the part where they're confident and competent, but that's not how this works. You've got to be a beginner before you can be great. You've got to try things you might not be good at, because sometimes purpose hides behind things that don't come easy at first. You don't know what will click until you give it a real shot. You also have to stop looking for purpose in outcomes. It's not about the accolades, the likes, the money, the title. Those things might come, but they're not the core. Purpose is about impact. It's about feeling like what you do matters to someone, somewhere. Even if that someone is just you. It's about doing things that feel aligned with your values. Things that challenge you, grow you, stretch you. Things that make you feel like you're part of something bigger than just existing day to day. Creating purpose requires patience. It's not instant. It's not supposed to be. You might go through jobs, projects, relationships, and ideas before you feel like you're onto something real. That's not data. That's refinement. Every step, even the ones that feel like detours, teach you something. The key is not to stop moving, not to get stuck in waiting mode. The longer you wait for clarity before you act, the longer you stay stuck. But the more you act, the more clarity shows up. It meets you on the path, not before it. Audit your circle. Energy is contagious. The people you spend time with are shaping you, whether you realize it or not. Their beliefs, their habits, their attitude toward life. It all seeps into your mindset. Every conversation, every interaction, every casual hangout leaves a mark. And if you're feeling stuck, drained, or off course, one of the first places to look is your circle. Who are you giving access to your energy? Who are you letting influence your thoughts, your goals, your drive? Most people underestimate the power of proximity. They think they can stay focused and inspired while constantly surrounding themselves with negativity, fear, laziness, or mediocrity. But you can't outwork the weight of a toxic environment. You can't keep your standards high when you're surrounded by people who have none. Your circle either lifts you up or slowly pulls you down, and sometimes it's not even obvious. It's not always the loud critic or the obvious pessimist. It's the subtle drain, the friend who always complains, the person who makes small jabs when you talk about your dreams, the one who never challenges you to grow. Audit means taking a hard, honest look, not through emotion, but through alignment. Ask yourself, who in my life inspires me to be better? Who pushes me, calls me out, believes in me when I forget how to believe in myself? And then ask the harder question, who's holding me back, even if they don't mean to? Who makes me shrink, second, guess, or settle? This isn't about judging people. It's about protecting your mission. Because if you're trying to build a life of purpose, you can't do it while constantly defending that purpose to the people closest to you. Energy is everything. When you're around people who are driven, optimistic, disciplined, it rubs off. You start thinking bigger. You start taking yourself more seriously. You start realizing what's possible. That's the kind of energy that fuels action. On the flip side, when you're around people who gossip, procrastinate, blame, or avoid growth, that energy drags you down. It makes excuses feel normal. It makes quitting feel acceptable. And over time, it chips away at your ambition without you even noticing. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off at the first sign of negativity, but it does mean creating boundaries. It means being intentional about who gets your time, your attention, your trust. Some people are meant for certain seasons of your life, not the whole journey, and outgrowing relationships isn't betrayal. It's part of the process. The higher you climb, the tighter your circle needs to be. Not in quantity, but in quality. One person with high standards, real vision, and positive energy can impact your life more than 10 people who are just coasting. Sometimes auditing your circle also means checking yourself. Are you bringing the kind of energy you want to attract? Are you lifting others, showing up fully, staying hungry for growth? Because your circle isn't just about who's around you. It's about what you're contributing to that space. Be the kind of person who raises the bar, not the one who settles for the floor. Lead by example. Set the tone. That way, even if you don't have the perfect circle yet, you're already building the foundation for one. At the end of the day, you're responsible for who you let in. You don't have to entertain every relationship just because it's familiar. You don't owe constant access to people who don't align with where you're going. Your environment shapes your energy, and your energy shapes your future. Choose wisely, because whether you're aware of it or not, your circle is either reinforcing your purpose or eroding it. Action kills doubt. Move even when it's messy. Doubt thrives in hesitation. It feeds off overthinking, second-guessing, waiting for the perfect moment. And the longer you sit still, the louder it gets. That's how people get stuck. Not because they're incapable, but because they're stuck in their own head, replaying what ifs and worst case scenarios until they're paralyzed. But doubt doesn't disappear with more thinking. It disappears with movement, with doing, with taking one small step, even if you don't know exactly where it's leading. People often wait for clarity before they act. They want certainty. They want to be sure something will work before they risk looking foolish. But clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You don't gain confidence by preparing forever. You gain it by showing up, doing the thing, falling down, and realizing you're still standing. The more you move, the less doubt has room to exist. Because action gives you feedback, it gives you progress, it gives you momentum, and momentum is what builds belief. Messy action beats perfect intentions every time. Too many people get caught up in needing a perfect plan. They want to know every detail, every step, every outcome before they begin. But life doesn't work that way. You learn as you go. You course correct in real time. The people you admire, the ones who look confident and dialed in, they didn't get there by thinking their way to success. They got there by starting before they were ready and figuring it out along the way. The willingness to move in uncertainty is the difference between growth and stagnation. Doubt loves idle time. When you're not doing, your mind starts filling in the gaps with fear. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if it's the wrong move? But when you're taking action, even imperfect action, your focus shifts. You stop obsessing over what might go wrong and start paying attention to what's actually happening. That shift in attention is powerful. It brings you back to the present. It grounds you in reality instead of keeping you locked in your head. Taking action also builds self-respect. Every time you do something you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. You send a signal to your brain that says, I follow through. That's how belief is built, not through hype but through consistency. And every time you push through the resistance and take that next step, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't let doubt run the show. That identity compounds. It shapes your choices. It becomes your new normal. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need all the answers today. You just need to act. Take the next step. Have the conversation. Make the call. Post the content. Apply for the job. Start the workout. Whatever it is, start it. Not because you feel 100% ready, because you're committed to building a life that moves forward. Doubt will always be there in some form, but it can't survive momentum. The more you move, the more powerless it becomes. And here's the truth. Most of the things you're scared to do are never as bad as your mind makes them out to be. You build them up in your head, give them weight, make them monsters. But when you actually face them, they shrink, because reality is rarely as scary as your imagination. Action brings you face to face with that reality. And even if it's tough, even if it's awkward or hard or humbling, it gives you something to work with, something to grow from, something real.